But the reality is that we are all sick. How to get out of this? So you need to define the food, and the food is something which releases glucose slowly and steadily into your body. We need glucose. Glucose is the chemical that is burnt by oxygen to release energy, which is trapped by ATP. It is a battery-like molecule, adenosine triphosphate. There is a mechanism called mitochondria. It's a whole assembly line which traps the energy and makes this molecule, triphosphate molecule, wherever energy, I want to move my body, I want to move my eyelid, I want to shit, I want to sleep, I want to breathe. For everything we need energy, and that biological energy is supplied by ATP. And to create ATP in the system, in the cells, you need to burn glucose in each and every cell there and then. I cannot create ATP here and then transport it there. So each cell cluster creates its own ATP. It's all decentralized. There is no centralized way of doing things and then take the ATP there. So it does that. So instead of creating ATP in one space and then distributing, it makes glucose from our blood, distributes into different cells, and then the oxygen goes there. The body, hemoglobin carries the oxygen from the lungs. Hemoglobin goes into the cell and burns the glucose, and then ATP is made. And all these calculations are done, and however much you need ATP, that much is produced. And if you work, if I expend that, then some more amount of glucose goes in, some more gets burnt and things like that. Then if you don't burn the glucose that has gone into the cell, it rooks around for some time, no one is burning me, and it just comes back to the blood. So what happens? The glucose in the blood starts increasing, because if you do not work, so to burn 1 gram of glucose from the blood in the cells, you need to walk 15 minutes. So we have 5 grams of blood, 5 liters of blood in our body approximately. And if you're a big fellow, you have 6 liters. If you're a small fellow, 4.5 liters. But average is 5 to 6 liters. So you have 5 grams of glucose always in the blood. Wherever requirement, it keeps giving. And if you have more glucose in the blood, which we are actually supplying too much through our food, because the food that we are eating in the last 30, 40 years does not have a control in the glucose release. So if you eat 100 grams of rice, instead of going through 108 steps of digestive process of hydrolytic steps, it just completes in 15 minutes, because there is no fiber to hold the carbohydrate hydrolysis. The whole 70 grams of carbohydrate in the rice, you have that one table I had given, just I saw flashed, yeah, the contents of each grain, and so it gets converted into glucose in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. So you have dumped in your blood around 35 grams of glucose in a matter of 15-20 minutes. And if you eat wheat, yeah, here it is. Check this out. Paddy rice, 79 grams of carbohydrate. 79 grams. Oops. I thought I can move. This right side is also. Okay. Wheat, it is 76. Not very much different. And how much is the fiber? You have 0.2 grams and you have 1.2 grams. And the structure of the grain is you have only 0.2 grams of fiber above the grain. So once you even just pound it, the fiber is gone. And now we don't eat pound rice. We are eating polished rice. The machine polishes and then totally zero. You have no fiber at all. And the wheat, whatever 1.2 grams is there, is treated with alloxan. What is alloxan? Is a bleaching powder-like chemical, which oxidizes whatever little fiber is there to make it finer powder. That's what is your atta. There is no fiber, zero fiber. So out of 75 to 76 grams, what is carbohydrate? It is a series of monomer, either glucose, fructose, then becomes sucrose, and sucrose, like that it builds up polycarbohydrates. What happens when we digest? It becomes monomers. So ultimately the end product of digestion is producing glucose. So the sucrose giving glucose and fructose builds up into the body. So when you eat 100 grams of rice or wheat, you approximately get around 30 grams of glucose into your blood in no time, 15 to 20 minutes. So you drink coffee, you drink juice, you drink Pepsi, you drink Coke. Now all of our big stars are selling Pepsi, Coke, Thumbs Up, but they are not selling any. They are selling 45 grams of sugar in 100 ml of water. So 45 grams of sugar means 22.5 grams of glucose in a shot. So in a day, if you calculate, you are loading approximately 150 to 170 grams of glucose in your blood in one day. But then I told you, if you want to burn 1 gram of glucose to carbon dioxide, what do? We need to walk 15 minutes. So if I want to burn 5 grams of glucose, how much time I should walk? 75 minutes. So now I have 175 grams. How many? You need more than 30 hours. And we have only 24 hours in a day. But does anyone walk even 1 hour, 2 hours a day? So if you walk 2 or 2.5 hours, you consume around 10 to 12 grams of glucose, and there is enough potential created. So the blood is discharged of glucose, so it wants more glucose, so you can eat. But then we are all techies, and in fact we have converted even the farmers into techies. Even to give water in the farms, you have all these apps and this and that. I can sit here and then press, I can watch and it's going. Okay. And that's the world. So no one works, no one is using glucose burning, but we are eating. Belige idre toothpaste has got, I'm not talking about all the chemicals, I'm just talking about the sugar. Sugar itself is poison for us because we are dumping so much, but we are not using it. So what is happening? You are accumulating glucose in the blood. Tons of it now. What does the body do? It's not foolish, just like us. There is a liver, there is a spleen, there is a kidney, there is a gallbladder, all these things and many more ductless glands. They all gang up and say, hey, we know how to convert this glucose into cholesterol. Because cholesterol is needed to make vitamin D. So there is a pathway. So let's get into this. So we make some cholesterol. But how much cholesterol you make? You go on making cholesterol, there's a problem. So that's where these steroids come. Supervisors, hey, that's enough. Now let's make triglycerides. Because triglycerides are needed to keep something going. But how much? You keep making some more because there's a lot of glucose. So you make cholesterol little more than required because there is not much problem. Salpa jasti adare en tondre illa, just make it. Another triglycerides. So rheumatic factor we needed to fight some antigens. So some of it will produce. So the body starts getting into emergency operations because to take care of the stupid glucose that we have been dumping without control, it starts making all these products. They were all necessary for us to some extent. But then this fellow is not stopping here. It keeps coming. So I keep making something because if that is there in the blood, what happens? If you put sugar here, in 2-3 hours, it starts absorbing water. Am I right? Sugar absorbs water. So the moisture makes it liquid. Same thing happens in the blood. Because you have too much sugar, it starts absorbing water from the cells. then the cells are parched because water is required. We are 75%, our body is water. Each and every cell has to be with water 75%. If water is less, we go and drink water. Am I right? So if you have a lot of sugar in your blood, what happens is you start feeling thirsty because it starts absorbing water from all the cells. So to quench the thirst, we drink a lot of water. When you have a lot of water in the body, the kidney kicks in and starts filtering. So after drink water, you want a bathroom attached. So that's why even before you build your office rooms, where are the bathrooms? Because you want to keep going to the bathroom. So to avoid that condition, the body is making all these adjustments. The emergency dance is going on. But we have enough of glucose in the body that it makes cholesterol, it makes triglycerides, it makes aromatic factor, it makes glycogen. Glycogen is again packing of the glucose. If we have not got enough sometime in the future, I need to feed my body it storage material. And enough glycogen is stored, it will make some fat. Enough fat is then it makes some meat. So that starts, people start building up their bodies. Oh, no problem, this is called obesity. This doctors named him as another disease. So people start obese. In fact, in America, young boys and girls are weighing more than 80 kilos at the age of 17. The same problem has come to India. Now, many are obese. No one need to be obese actually, if we only know how to deal with this glucose. Because we don't know how to deal with glucose, so you have become obese, your cholesterol has gone high, your triglycerides have gone high, your fat material has gone high. So what to do with this extra fat? It starts tapping it into the blood vessels. Then your blood vessels are blocked, your heart is blocked. No problem, come, we'll remove the blocks, we'll put the stent. So these guys are talking about something else. The problem is somewhere else. So the whole root cause of the problem is this excess glucose in your, whether it is for your rheumatism, that's your cholesterol, that's your triglycerides, that's your BP, that's your diabetes. So this much adjustments are done and nothing else is happening because we have still excess glucose. The blood itself is being dropped onto the glucose. So the hemoglobin itself is coated with glucose and that is called HbA1c. So hemoglobin is now taking the glucose onto itself and roaming around. So what was the job of hemoglobin? To carry oxygen and burn the glucose. Now glucose itself is sitting on it. So the oxygen is dislodged, then you start feeling tired. So when the HbA1c increases in your blood, you become diabetic. And because that should have been 6, now you have 7, 8, 9, 10. People are now at 12 HbA1c. Your hemoglobin should be 12. Hemoglobin is coming down. HbA1c is going up. So now I have described you many processes. It is due to the excess of glucose. Anything can happen first. If your body's nature is that you could have HbA1c high go first, or cholesterol go high first, or triglycerides, or rheumatism. So depending upon your body and your activities, either you become rheumatic patient, or BP patient, or triglyceride patient, or diabetes patient. And it's actually the situation is not that. Everyone is becoming all the patients over a period of time now. Either you are becoming diabetic first, or BP later, or BP first, or diabetic later. And that is the scenario we find in the present day world. Am I right? So where is the root cause of all the diseases now, the modern diseases? It is the food. Now no doctor in the world, no curriculum in the world talks about food. You have this, you take this tablet. You have this, you do this. You have this, you do that. You have this, you do this. You do all the things together. You see where we are and where the problem is? I have lost, say I forget this here and go away. And then I search in Bangalore city. Will I get this? I have to come back and search here. So where the problem is, that's where you need to work. But no one is working in the where the problem is. The problem is food. So if your food is not right, whatever medicines you take, how will it work? But then how are these doctors trained now? You eat whatever you want, you take this tablet. ಏನಾದರೂ ತಿನ್ನಪ್ಪ ಈ ಟ್ಯಾಬ್ಲೆಟ್ ತಗೋ. ಇನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಪೆಗ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೂ ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪೆಗ್ ಹಾಕಿದ್ರೆ ಮಗ್ಗ ಖಾಲಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. And this is the sad story of modern world. You see, we have no connection for what we are doing, and we are all made to believe that this is the science. So how can I cure a patient who is diabetic, who has cancer, who has migraine, unless I change the food? So I need to find a food, not drugs. If I find drugs, I will make you addicts. And that's what the world is all about. Now all are drug addicts. Maybe BP drug addict, diabetes drug addict, steroid drug addict, all are addicts. You're all addicted to something or the other. And that's what this economic model wants. You all have to be addicted to something or the other so I can keep selling that. This is the bottom line in the corporate language. So you're all there. You're fixed. I use the word fixed in many dimensions. You're all fixed. Fixed on drugs, fixed on addictions, and so you keep going round and round and round. So that's why you're all becoming sicker and sicker and sicker. You see the futile processes that you're being running around. So you want to become healthy? Please look around. Look differently. Think out of the box. The box is not right. Here comes the wonderful grains. Here. So what do? We need to change the grain. The food that can release glucose slowly and steadily instead of flooding the blood. And that mechanism God has created in these wonderful 5 grains. So all this bashing that I have done, bear with me. I don't have any intention of scolding anyone. But this is the mistake the whole human race has done. So if we want to get out of this deadlock, we need to think differently. We need to do things differently. So if we continue in the same cycle, nothing will happen. So you see the sugar. Don't think there is no carbohydrate in the grains that I am proposing to eat. This is 76, this is 69.7, 70. So enough of carbohydrate is there. Not that there is not enough. But the difference is you have, along with that, fiber enriched. I use the word enriched. Enriched means not more. Just enough to do the job. So many people think that when I say Sridhanya, it has high fiber. No, it doesn't have high fiber. It has enough fiber. It is the right fiber, right amount of fiber. So 60 grams to 8 grams, 65 grams to 9.8, and this corle called brown top millet has got 12.5%. And how is it arranged? What if this 12.5% fiber, just like rice, if it is on the upper layer, then when you dehusk it, you will lose that also. So there is no use. So that means something else has to be done. So what does God do? He starts arranging the fiber from the center into layers, those concentric circles, so different layers. So you have the fiber and the carbohydrate fiber and the carbohydrate fiber and the sugars entangled, interlinked in a complex and complicated fashion. That is the distribution of fiber. And so now when I eat this grain, I don't get my glucose suddenly because I need to get rid of this fiber and release the glucose into my body slowly and steadily. And that's exactly what happens when you eat 100 grams of brown top millet. It takes 8 hours to release the glucose into your blood. What does it do? It does step by step, quantum by quantum. So in aliquots, in small quantities, 3 grams, 5 grams, 4 grams. So even if I grind this grain, make a flour, the carbohydrate and the fiber is not separated. Only your digestive process can remove that. But then to do that, you need to make the process easy. If you just eat like that, the fiber does not get separated. It has to be soaked with water. Only soaking, after absorbing a lot of water, the fiber starts expanding and gets ready to be digested. So now the problem for all of us is Amitabh Bachchan has come for the last 20 years. No mother is needed, no father is needed. 2 minutes, noodles. So all kids can go and put this in hot water and make noodles ready. Tumba chanagide. And this is the image this great Amitabh Bachchan has given the whole India. And now why kids? Navu tintivi. So all people stopped cooking properly. They are all quick food. 2 minutes alli ready agbeku. I have no time. Mahindra Tech closes the gate. Run. So everyone stopped cooking. 2 minutes cooking has come into vogue. And on top of it, MTR Mayas, this packet, that packet. 2 minutes instant puliyogare, 2 minutes, all these food technologies, food processing, big industry. So all these machines come into picture. They forgot what they are cooking, as I said, no. They don't know what they are cooking, but they are cooking. They don't know what they are doing. So you cannot cook things 2 minutes with these grains. You got to soak them. Soak, even if it is flour, you have to soak. So roti madbeku andrunu, with wheat and rice, you don't need to soak. You can just cook because it's just carbohydrate, pista, nothing else. But that doesn't work here. So you need to get back to the real cooking methods. That means you soak in the night. It will take generally 6 to 8 hours of soaking to make the fiber release itself, get prepared to cook. Then it gets cooked in 5 to 10 minutes. Even in the mud pot you can cook.